Sit right back, the time is now. Tammy's gonna show you how to cook it up like Mama used to do. Well, she makes it easy. She shows you tricks before too long.
Hey y'all, it's Chris and Tammy with Collard Valley Cooks, and today we're making some delicious biscuits, but they're going to be even more special because these are blueberry biscuits. We took fresh blueberries and mixed them into our biscuit dough with some sugar and glazed them up, and you're just going to love this recipe. And remember that this recipe will be in our new cookbook. Let's get started. All right, we are going to start with 3 tablespoons of room temperature butter, and we're going to add about an 1/8 cup of shortening. And we're going to be using 1 cup of white lily self-rising flour. Now this flour is light winter wheat, and it already has the baking powder and the salt in it. And we're going to cut this in with our blending fork. This is just an old-fashioned antique blending fork. And you can purchase these on the website. Of course, they're not going to be antiques, but they are on there. The ones on the website look like this. And they work just as good. So you're going to get that blended in until that shortening and the butter is about pea size. And now we're going to add some sugar. And I think we should add about we're going to add a 1/2 cup of sugar. And now we're going to use buttermilk. And I'm going to try to measure this for you, but you're going to see that my buttermilk is pretty thick. So I'm just going to put a cup in here. And of course we're not going to use that much. But once I get it to the consistency that I like it, then we're going to know how much did go in there. That's probably going to do it. So you're just going to mix this up with your blending fork until all the flour is incorporated into the dough and sugar. That's about perfect. And they are a little soft, so it was not quite a 1/2 cup, but really close, okay? And now we are going to put out some flour on our counter. And we're going to add the blueberries once I get this on the counter. So just get your dough out on the counter. All right, the buttermilk. When you add liquid to your biscuits, whether you're making a regular biscuit or a sweet biscuit, you need to do it sparingly, because when we give you a recipe and we give you an amount of a liquid, if I'm using whole buttermilk because it's really thick, it's a different consistency than a regular milk or a low-fat buttermilk. So what I want you to do is add your liquid. You can measure it, but add it a little at a time until you can get all of that flour bound together, and don't use any extra. So it's possible you could have a little liquid left over by what I tell you to use. All right? And now we're just going to put some flour in these biscuits, and we're going to add some blueberries to them. And I am just going to add enough to cover them. So just get you some, like a pint, well, a half pint. I think this was like a half pint of blueberries. And then you're just going to start folding them in your dough. When you're incorporating this extra flour, boy, that's going to be delicious. I can guarantee it. Good stuff. So you're just going to fold them a few times. Get that mixed in there really good. Flatten them out about 1 inch tall. And cut them. You can cut through the berry. These are fresh blueberries. Now, if all you have is frozen, you can do the same thing with frozen ones, but don't thaw them first. Put them in there frozen. Now you can make these in any aluminum pan, or you can make them in a cast iron skillet. However you want to do it works. You're going to put these in the oven at 450 degrees, and we're going to make a glaze to glaze them with once they come out of the oven. And we grew up around Bojangles, and they had Bowberry biscuits. And of course these have fresh blueberries in them, and plenty of them. So they're going to be even, of course, better. All right, so let me get me a pan ready, and we're going to get these in the oven. All right, I got me a flat iron. This is a iron skillet. You can use anything you want. But this is what we're going to use today. So I'm greasing it, and I'm going to put these on it. Just like that. We're going to get these in the oven and bake them at 450 degrees until they're nice and golden brown. Okay, y'all, these blueberry biscuits look delicious. We're going to get them out of the oven. Put them right here so you can see them. Now, don't these look delicious, y'all? Woo, they look so good. And those blueberries have been just bubbling in there. You got to see that with the time lapse we showed you while they were in the oven. You want to make sure and get them good and brown. Now, if you use an aluminum pan, they're actually going to get crunchier on the bottom than if you use cast iron. Cast iron does not really get them quite as crunchy on the bottom typically. So we are going to mix us up some delicious glaze. We're going to be using we've got about 3 tablespoons of butter in here, and it's at room temperature. I actually melted it, but it has hardened up a little bit at room temperature. All right, and then there you have a cup of powdered sugar. We're going to add just a little bit of vanilla. And a tablespoon of milk, and we're going to go ahead and put in another tablespoon of milk. And we're going to mix this up till it's nice and creamy. And you're going to want to mix this up and get it on these biscuits while they're nice and warm. That was a lot of butter. I might ought to add me just a tiny bit more powdered sugar. So you might not need 2 tablespoons. Just use about a tablespoon and a teaspoon or something like that. Just use your judgment. All right, we're going to pour this over the top of our biscuits. Now, after you mix up this glaze, if you'll let it sit a minute, it's going to get a little bit thicker. But you're going to want to put it on your biscuits while they're still pretty warm as well. There should be plenty of it. Using a whole cup of powdered sugar. Looks good. And now we're going to get one of these biscuits out of there and give it a try. Let's try to get this one first. All right, we're going to give it a try, y'all. It's so good. That buttermilk is just delicious. And they're not like a muffin. They are absolutely delicious. The best blueberry biscuit ever. You're going to love this recipe. So go out there and buy those berries while they're in season and make you some delicious White Lily blueberry biscuits. We'll see you next time on Colored Valley Cooks, where we cook like our mamas did. Bye, y'all. We love ya.
Cooking time, it's over now. Tammy, she just showed you how to cook it up like Mama used to do. So go on.